Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome to the first day of the building phase of the Yoshitaka Amano Final Fantasy V inspired mid project right here, where to get things started and get our stuff going, we're going to be starting off with the globe, which, the globe. Yep, we're going to be starting with the main event here, kind of get this guy looking like the actual world from Final Fantasy V. So, funny thing about that is basically throughout history, throughout world history, there have been a number of different ways the globe, our globe, Earth, has been represented as a two-dimensional projection on paper. And some of the ways we've gone about and tried to do that through the years, I'm making hand gestures, they don't matter. But there are a number of different ways we've used to represent the spherical image in a 2D plane. And I remember way back in like elementary school, like in second grade, I remember having a vivid discussion with one of my friends on how Greenland was larger than Australia, and they didn't believe me because if you look at the top left there in the Mercator projection, which I was going off of, anything at or near the poles is massively skewed as opposed to those areas near the equator, and it does make those areas seem far, far bigger than they actually is. We actually had to go and use an encyclopedia to go and get the square mileage to determine who was right or not. I was wrong. And if you don't know what an encyclopedia is at this point in time, because you're a little younger, well, ask ChatGPT. They may be able to tell you. Anyway, there are a number of ways you can make, a spherical object get the information into a 2D plane. However, anybody who's played Final Fantasy VI before and has raided Daryl's Tomb in order to get the Falcon in the World of Ruin, they will know that when it comes to the maps in Final Fantasy, the world is square. And the trick we had here, the trick that I had here while off camera earlier in the week, was trying to transplant this image you see here onto a sphere. And I'll let you know something, it didn't go very well. So we have an amalgamation of what that was drawn out on here, but it is not 100% the map of Final Fantasy V. It is trying to project an already made just square image onto a sphere is all but terrible. So if you don't recognize the game, cool, this is going to look awesome in the end. If you do recognize from the map of the world, well, I tried. So aside from that, I think it's time to get started, get my things kind of set up, move my laptop stuff out of the way. However, before I do get started, one thing I know I just want to get out of the way right now, because I know you're going to be staring at the screen and wondering what happened and what... If we look at my hand right here, because I'm going to be using my hands the whole time, one finger is not like the others right now. And earlier in the week, I was installing decking. We were resurfacing a deck with synthetic decking boards, and they have a clip system on there. And in order to attach like a new board to another one, we have like a 20-foot long span. You get like a little yay big 2x6 or 2x8 pieces lying around. We call them beater blocks, because that's what you beat on. And you get a hammer and you whack it down, and it will then push your 20-foot board into the clips. Well, I went and did that. Apparently the hammerhead grazed a piece of material we had in front and bounced up a little bit, and I got myself in the finger pretty good. So I have full feeling in here. There's full color in here now. I intended to use about 2 weeks off to get ahead of the game. Well, I lost about a week for this because I didn't want to do anything super strenuous on my hand. But it looks a whole lot better now. The whole top of my finger earlier in the week looked like if you had just dipped it into some of that like really purple plumber's glue kind of thing. It looked really kind of bad at the time. But now it's really just behind the nail and we're fine. So before you say anything, because I know it's going to pop up, that's just something to keep in mind. Whoop. Sorry about that. It just is what it is. And that's what happens when I move my laptop out. So let's go get ourselves kind of... We're going to try, because this is now a larger piece than I'm used to doing, I'm going to try to situate this in a way that kind of works. And actually, having the camera behind me like this, it doesn't feel like it's a bad thing. So I think we're going to kind of go with that. And I think I'm far enough up that we can kind of see what's going on. If we try to go any closer, we're not really going to. And just to make things even more fun, the bits I was using on my Dremel back on the rifle in the Kai project somehow disappeared. I have no idea where they went to. So thankfully I have backups of everything except like that little saw blade one, which is the one I was going to be using for doing the outline. So we're just gonna make things up as we go. I found a different one that might work, and we're just gonna go from there. So let's start with kind of a big open area. There's half the world. If I go right real quick to the map here, if you look on the left half of the world, you have a couple really kind of two bigger continents going on, and on the right half you kind of have almost like this trailish thing that goes through with like a lot of water, a lot of land, kind of skinny stuff. We're going to start with the big guys first on this. We're going to start with the... I just rotate you out. We're going to start with some of these bigger ones first, and then work into the smaller stuff. But I'm not anticipating getting this part done today. But if we can just kind of get the outline going and start to kind of shrink down. The idea is to shrink down the water portions of the globe while keeping the other areas a little higher up. And then after that, we can maybe put slight crenulations for like the mountains or deserts or stuff that are in here. I'm not doing huge things, but I want to have just enough that you can get a feeling for what's going on here. So as is usual when using a Dremel, there's going to be noise. It just will be. So we're going to deal with that. And here we go. Okay, and this works just as well as the other guy. Because I'm just going to give it an edge with this. Then I'm going to come back with the sanding one. And we're going to go through and sand out everything. Well, if nothing else, this will make it more visible because I feel like it's burning the wood slightly. But this is definitely one of those details I could just paint the entire globe in here and it would probably be fine. But you know what? We're a building channel here. We're gonna build stuff. That's what we do. Okay, we're getting into little islandy things down there, so let's not worry about that too much. Yeah, I wasn't planning on hitting my hand with the hammer. It's actually, I haven't, thinking about it, in the roughly 20 years I've been doing this, I don't think I've actually done that before. So, it's one of those things, you know, everybody's done, everybody has their story, so I think I finally got mine out of the way. We just file those types of things under things that happen. You don't want them to happen, but they happen. And you just kind of, you let it be what it is, and just kind of keep working. I'm very ginger about using that hand at work, but it doesn't stop work from getting done. Oh well. That's it. I'm looking forward to work tomorrow. It's fun going to work on the weekends to install a 9.5 foot wide by 5 foot tall bay window in what feels like winter outside. But that's what we're gonna do. We opened up the house today, so tomorrow we gotta plug that back up again. Right now we have plywood up in there right now, and that's not enough to make things look good. Just hoping that everybody who said they're going to come over to help with that, because the thing weighs a ton. Hopefully everybody shows up and is in a good mood to move really big, heavy things, because we're about to find out who our friends really are. Okay, so we're getting around. It's already starting to read actually pretty okay. It doesn't take much to get things to read well. So and once again, my vacuum is going to be very busy after this whole segment is done. But it is what it is. Like I said, my goal isn't to do the entire globe during this session, because all you're going to be doing is watching this then. But if I can get some of this and some of the actual kind of sanding part done on here, I might come back and do another segment. The next segment might be doing the other half of the world, and I might do the other half of the world off camera, not really sure. But on one hand, on your end, I think it's nice to see I'm not sure if you want to see just straight results anytime I do stuff like this, just like, oh, I can give you an idea how long it takes to do it. Or if you just like watching the process, watching things unfold, just have like you can see the slight changes like from session to session. I think there is value in that. But I think if I am doing that, I will break it up rather than just have you watch all of this part at once and all of the kind of sanding out the ocean area at once. I can do just part of this right now and part of the other sanding part, and then we go from there. That said, as is usual on this type of stuff, I have a timetable that I need to get this done by. Because if I go and start sanding this stuff for too long in any individual stretch of time, my nose is going to start going nuts. So I can only do this for so long. Usually at work I'll have like one of those kind of big heavy-duty mask things on, but then you can't hear anything I'm saying. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on that. It would be nice to have something like that on, but at the same time, this is a little bit of an audible kind of thing. So whatever, we'll make it through. Not too worried. It's not like that's going to be the worst thing that's happened to me this week. I was going to say, it's not like that would be the worst thing that happens to me this week if I sneeze a little bit. And usually that's just temporary until this stuff gets out of the system. Alright. We got a little Gulf America thing going on over here, so let's get to that. I said, had a really good Thanksgiving, got to see everybody again, which was nice. And as is usually the plan when it comes to the end of year holidays, our Christmas and New Year's and all that, I have no idea what the plans are for anybody around, so that's cool. But we play this game every year. It could be we all get together for a Christmas thing, could be get together for a New Year's thing. We're going to see how that goes. Okay, we have How does this look on camera? We can now... Well, if you couldn't see the stuff before, you kind of can see everything now, which is nice. That did open things up. We are only 15 minutes in, so we're actually making pretty quick progress considering I talked for like the first 5 or so minutes of this. Okay. I have the strength to undo that by hand. I don't have the strength to pull the bit out by hand. Although I'm not putting pressure on my bad hand right now, so that's maybe part of it. Alright, so I have the 2 size bits here, so I'm going to use the bigger one as just kind of my rough kind of working things down. Then I get into some of the finer areas, I'll go and use the other one. But hopefully this will... We're going to shrink down the oceans here just a little bit. Maybe a little more power. Like tool time here. We need more power. It's the only way. And we don't really need to do the entire ocean. You just need to make it so that the continents themselves feel like they're raised. Now I do have a chain of islands that comes down this way, so I'm not going to interfere with those islands at this point. At least I don't want to. Those islands, that said, do not represent anything on that map like at all. That is probably the worst of the representations on the map. Because they are down near the South Pole area, and as you saw in like the Mercator projection there, anything near the poles just gets rendered really, really badly. So that was no exception. That did not get rendered particularly well. Yeah, now visually this is probably going to be relatively slow progress for the first couple sessions here as we kind of carve down. However, we're going to be painting this a lot sooner than we did any of the other stuff, because once this is done, we're going to be painting it up right away. So initially this part may take some time before it actually looks like what we want it to look like. However, it will reach its finished result in a faster clip than it otherwise would. And I think I want to carve down a little more by the continents, have it stick up just a little bit more. Now that said, you're probably wondering why I started with the sphere. I keep raising it up now. Why I started sphere and didn't actually just like make my own sphere from start? Because I could get some 2x6s and 2x8s or whatever and just kind of, I could carve it down and make my own sphere and then build off of that. However, that would be a gigantic time sink to do that, and I'm not sure it would really add anything to the project. It would have made this a lot cheaper. This actually costs more than probably any of my other projects in their totality. But as my dad had told me the very first day I was starting my job way back when, and I decided to become home remodeler / carpenter, was I was going to learn 2 things on the job. Because I guess he didn't think I was going to make it in the end. I was going to go try this and then do something else. He said, I'm going to learn 2 things in the home remodeling kind of front. I'm going to learn things I want to do myself, and I'm going to learn things I want to pay somebody else to do. And when it comes to just making a sphere out of wood, I'd rather just pay somebody else. I'd rather just buy a sphere and work off of that than make one of those from scratch. So his advice is living true, even if it's not quite the way it was intended to be taken. Oh, the vacuum is going to be so happy with this afterwards. It'll be worth it in the end. Better believe it'll be worth it. And I didn't even have to worry about my finger being a different color. You can't see it anyway. Oh well. Like I said, we follow stuff like that or stuff happens. Things don't go wrong very often, but every now and again something happens. It's part of life. It's part of the profession. It's part of what we do. And you just... Like I said, after that happened, that maybe happened around 2 o'clock during the day or so. So after that, still went for a couple hours more of work. I mean, we don't stop because if something like that happens. Just bandage it up, keep going. Okay, this is not the area with the little island chain right next to it. It's the next. I gotta go for my little Gulf of America area first, and then we get to that. That's it. I think I now finally finished the Final Fantasy XII playthrough. I know I'd mentioned starting that at some point during the Kai Shulin one. I was doing another long-term project where the goal was to get all of the espers and complete all of the hunts. And after a 7-hour struggle, the Eisenat is down. We finished the final hunt. We got it done. That was a beast. That should not have been... I went into things under-leveled, for sure, but we got it done, had a good time, but I think we're now moving off of that project. I gotta find something else to do now and kind of downtime time. How are we doing in time? 22 minutes. So this is actually going by kind of quick, all things considered. This is actually kind of working out. I don't want to bring a fan or anything to blow this out, because that's going to blow all this dust everywhere. And I'd rather just kind of keep it generally over here. But no, at least we're getting... I'm looking at my monitor. The contents are... They are raised. This is what we want. I kind of want them raised maybe just a little bit more, so if I want to put a mountain range or something on here, I have material to work with, and I can then sync the others. So I do have a little more stuff I need to do. Whoop, I missed a spot. I got this little Panama Canal area I kind of didn't do. I didn't get the water part for. Yeah, no, I think I want to... I like how this is coming out. Everything is visual on here. It's not super in your face, but it's enough that you can kind of see what's going on. You know what? I kind of forgot. If we're going to be over here, let's maybe put you on the side. But yeah, I think I want to have it the ocean part inset just a little bit more, so I want to do like a mountain range or something on here. We just have we have material to work off of. So, all right. So what happened there is my cord for this guy is now interwoven with the cord from the webcam, and that's super cool, but don't really want that. Considering we're at the 25-minute mark, we're just going to focus on this one area for right now for today. So I just want to get this one area kind of right. So we're just going to go over real quick one more time here, go around the sides, carve it down a little more, and then there we go. That's it. Start at the pole down here. I'm sure this is not what Home Depot thought I was going to do with the sphere when I bought it. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Getting down that little extra bit does make it read a little better. That's for true. I never got into this section with the sanding guy. Yeah, I'm not sure how, like I said, I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to be doing on camera. I'll do this, maybe next session I'll do kind of the other side of the world or a part of that. But then after that I might finish off the rest off camera, because to finish off the rest of this element of it, I do want to show making like deserts or mountains or that. But making this globe is one of the things I could spend weeks doing. I could spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing this part. So at some point I'm going to need to maybe draw a line at where I want to end that. But it is nice when I'm always have those nerves starting a new project. Like, is this one going to live up to what I want it to? Is it going to look good? So it's helping when something like this is at least starting off and reading how I want it to read. And I'll be honest, I'm not really looking that much at my webcam, so I'm hoping you can see kind of what I'm doing. But if you can't, I apologize. I tried, and I'll learn from it for next time and angle things differently. Yeah, squeak. Squeak all you want. It's not going to make me change how I do this. The Arctic area here is still going to need to be carved, no matter how much you fight it. Alright, heading over to the west coast. That's it, this is going to get such a bland kind of paint job on top of it. I'm going to be really curious how this is going to look. Because one of the things Amano is really good at is playing between form and color. Because the form of this image, this form of this whole kind of structure is really a lot of this kind of globe. It's the back heavy look. So your eye wants to be drawn to the back, end of this whole thing where the globe is, the legs and stuff are down there and whatnot. But the color is towards the front end. The color you're looking at is Mid's hair, that yellow on top of there. And like the purples of his cloak, the yellow hair and all that. So your eye is kind of down. Your eye is kind of torn between where to place itself. And that's one of those things that makes this work kind of dynamic when you look at it. Because your gaze is kind of always moving from which is more important, the form or the color. And yeah, this will get kind of a blander. I don't want to make this a standoffish kind of paint color. I want to make this ultimately kind of a blander paint color so that when we get to the final product, we can have that dichotomy. We can kind of have those two elements playing off each other. Alright, I think I'm going through a knot right over here. Yeah, stop it. You're being so noisy. You're trying to skip around, but I don't want you to skip around. Yeah. We're almost done with you. If you go on top of the world like that, that's fine. Yeah, if you make little mistakes like that, that's fine. We're going off a concept art anyway. In the grand scheme of things, no one's really going to be caring, to be blunt about it, about stuff like that. So, alright. Back to our little Gulf of America area here. And then that's it for time number 2 going around. Yeah, squeaky squeak. Yeah, so every now and again I think I'm trying to go slightly deeper than I should and it just gets caught on itself. Okay, so we have it's slightly more visible. We're going to go that way for you to see it. But we're definitely getting the globe going. Once again, this one doesn't like coming out super nice. Let's take the whole thing off, take you out. You're a little toasty, little toasty. Let's pop this guy back in. Go once more over with this, and like I said, we're just going to kind of call it there, I think. I don't want to get too much dust going on here, and plus that'll probably be around 40 minutes or so, which should be fine. It gets the idea across of what we're going for. And the next time we'll go and do the back half of or not back half, but kind of the other half of the world, and get that going. Let's see, we're always starting here at the Florida-esque tip down here, so let's keep going with that. Oh, it's so much easier in my hand. I'm not trying to tilt up or anything, it just feels more comfy in my hand this way. Oh, don't roll away from me. I'm not going to be able to know where I stopped. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a very kind of complicated little area in here. That's what we have. Alright, we're almost there. At least we're like 40% of the way around this. That's like almost. But in the grand scheme, we're almost there. I need to say something. I get like too much dead time here. It doesn't feel right. Kind of liking how this is turning out, I gotta say. That is a big relief on these, because again, when you're just not sure how things are going to go, especially when you're doing a new element, not just a new project, like a new complete element that you're not used to doing. In this case, the woodworking part, because it's really been a while. Other than the rifle from Kai's project, it's been close to 2 years since I've done an actual woodworking project, such as this, a carving type woodworking project, which I still have to get back to at some point. It's the Final Fantasy XII Strahl, the main airship in that game. I started about 2 years ago making out of wood, and yeah, it's never been finished. I'm maybe 40% of the way through that one. So I still have a ways to go on that as well. It was one of those, I'd worked on it for a number of months. It was like, alright, I need to take a break. And then I just never got back to it after that break. So, I'm not even centered on camera here. Well, I'm sorry. I finally looked over at the screen. Alright, getting into our Gulf area means we're getting near the end. There's our South Pole. Go. We have a big. Once again, I don't want to blow on this thing, so I want to keep the dust kind of where it is. But there we kind of go. We have the start of a world. This is the basic of the basic part to the start of a world. We've now carved out, so our continents are looking kind of like what they're supposed to look like. So again, if we come back into our map on the side, if you look at the two continents on the left-hand side, the upper and lower, kind of like our North America, South America-ish. I shouldn't say that. That's an insult to everything that's anything. But if you look at those kind of northern ones, on the, not northern, but the westernmost ones, that's pretty much what we have. We have the top part of the western, then that big kind of bottom part there. And yeah, so next time, I'm just going to start calling here. I know we're 40 minutes in. We don't need to do the full hour. I'd give my nose a break, and we already have dust everywhere. So next time we'll go kind of get this other kind of continent area going. And then I'll probably, after that, whatever's not done the next time with that front, I might just finish off camera. I'll come back and start putting a couple of geographic features on these guys. I'll do what I can to match the world map, but it's going to be what it's going to be. Then after the geographic features are on, then we have a couple little other detail-y things on here. We actually get into painting phase right after that. So we have fun stuff to look forward to. And that is going to go on next time. So until then, and until next time, enjoy.